This sensory ability is a formidable weapon, but it's not their deadliest. Each tentacle is lined with millions of microscopic spring-loaded harpoons, called nematocysts. These tiny structures are unrivaled by almost anything else on the planet. When a creature brushes up against the tentacles, the nematocysts fire. Rarely seen, these images were captured with an ultra-high-speed camera under a microscope. Exploding with a force of some 1.5 million Gs, they accelerate as fast as a bullet. One of the fastest biological processes in nature. The barbed harpoon lodges under the skin. By the millions, they pump venom into the prey. But exactly how this venom actually works has puzzled scientists. But answers are emerging half a world away. The Hawaiian Islands. Millions of tourists swarm to these warm waters every year. But they are not alone. 3 a.m. Oahu's Waikiki Beach. A week after the full moon, this fabled tourist destination is inundated with box jellyfish. Just after sunset, they arrive by the thousands. And for one scientist at the University of Hawaii, it's a prime opportunity. Dr. Angel Yanagihara and her team are here to study the effects of jellyfish venom on the human body. But first, they must collect specimens. Angel knows firsthand just how dangerous Hawaiian box jellies can be.
I had just finished my PhD and I was out on a swim and I got out a little more than a half mile and I got hit on the neck by something really horrible. And as I came up, my arms got hit, my legs and my neck got hit again. Everywhere that wasn't covered with lycra seemed to be stinging.
She survived and began to ask questions.
After that, I thought, why does it hurt? Why is it so bad? And that's what we've spent 8 years really looking at.
In a makeshift research lab, they collect tentacles from hundreds of Hawaiian box jellyfish. Carefully, they snip off the venom-filled tentacles, filling scores of vials. Angel and her team work through the night. And by dawn, they have hundreds of samples. It's enough venom to kill dozens of men. To figure out exactly how it attacks the human body, Angel brings the venom back to the lab. She puts her own blood under the microscope. She adds a box jelly tentacle and, using chemicals, triggers its venomous harpoons. Immediately, the jelly's toxic brew is released. And what follows in this microscopic dimension is a scene of epic carnage.
Droplets of the venom now are coming out at the end of the tubules. And all the blood cells that are exposed to this venom will immediately swell up and explode.
The venom is hemotoxic. It destroys red blood cells. But that's not all it does. Most poisonous predators have a single specialized toxin. Scorpion venom is a neurotoxin, attacking the nervous system. Brown recluse spider poison dissolves skin. Pit viper venom destroys blood vessels. But box jelly venom does it all. A cocktail of destruction that can blister the skin, shut down the nervous system, induce cardiac arrest. But there is something else. Box jelly venom directly targets nerve receptors, causing immediate, intense, long-lasting pain. This deadly combination of multiple toxins makes developing effective antivenom almost impossible.
The venom is too complex for a simple one-shot antivenom. There is no magic bullet that will just make it go away.
Land and sea, the divide between two worlds, ours and theirs. The oceans are where life on Earth began. Among the first creatures on the planet, jellyfish were one of the original occupants of the ancient seas. $600 million years ago, the oceans were a harsh environment. A primordial stew of microorganisms, devoid of large creatures, until the jellyfish emerged and became the dominant predator. They have endured for more than 500 million years. And while our ancestors evolved and left the seas, jellyfish stayed behind and mastered their domain. Primitive, but honed by evolution for millennia. A perfect design in countless shapes and sizes. Each an evolutionary masterpiece. Exquisite sovereigns of the sea. And when we re-enter the water, we are entering their world. But staying out of their way is not always easy, especially when they are virtually invisible. The waters over Australia's Great Barrier Reef. For generations, the Aboriginal Irukandji tribe have spoken of a mysterious presence in these waters, torturing with unthinkable pain. A scourge that today bears the tribe's name, Irukandji syndrome. March 2002. Robert King, an American tourist, is snorkeling through the pristine clear waters of the reef. A tiny sting. King sees nothing in the water. No box jelly, nothing. But in 20 minutes, a headache sets in, driving him back to the boat. 10 minutes later, the pain spreads. Severe muscle cramps, nausea. The pain builds, advancing, unrelenting, excruciating. He can no longer control his movements. The torture of this ancient scourge. King is airlifted to a hospital, but the doctors are nearly helpless. There is no antivenom for Irukandji syndrome. They can only treat symptoms as they appear, injecting morphine to ease the pain. 2 weeks later, King dies. His killer? A tiny, nearly invisible jellyfish weighing less than an ounce. Small and seemingly harmless. It went undiscovered until the 1960s. Carukia barnesi, named after the man who discovered them, Dr. Jack Barnes. As an emergency room doctor, he treated scores of patients coming down with symptoms of a jelly sting, yet all without ever having glimpsed their assailant. Intent on finding the culprit, he searched the North Australian waters with the most frequent attacks. And in 1964, he apprehends a tiny, almost invisible suspect, a 1 centimeter wide jellyfish. But no one believed such an unimposing creature could be so deadly. To prove his case, the doctor stings himself, the lifeguard on duty, and his son. Within the hour, the symptoms hit. All three are hospitalized with Irukandji syndrome, conclusive proof that this tiny jelly is the source. All three survived the unorthodox experiment. Yet to this day, much about these enigmatic creatures remains a mystery. And as the research into these creatures advances, more and more cases are being linked to Irukandji. And Jamie is working to build a catalog of the perpetrators. By comparing stingers from skin samples scraped off victims with stingers from jellyfish collected in the field, he can ID the culprit. It turns out that Irukandji syndrome is not caused by a single species. As many as 6 animals have been proven to cause the illness. And Jamie is finding more and more.
It's got the nematocysts that I would expect, but it's got this third one. And I've never seen that before, which probably means it's a new species. And it's capable of killing people. I mean, that's pretty frightening.
The deeper he digs, the more suspects he finds. And they're turning up everywhere.
It's cropping up in more and more places throughout the world. You see it right throughout Australia. It's in Timor, Indonesia, Bali, in Madagascar. You see it in Waikiki Beach.
But there is disturbing new evidence. Irukandji syndrome is showing up far beyond the warm tropical waters of the Indian Ocean and South Pacific. 2 a.m., the Florida Keys. A U.S. military combat diver on a routine training mission. Covered from head to toe, there's almost no exposed skin, except for perhaps a tiny patch of cheek between the mask and hood. A nearly imperceptible pinprick. And then a headache. The muscle cramps. The unending crescendo of excruciating pain. Irukandji syndrome, striking in the coastal waters of the United States. And while deadly attacks are rare, new reports are pouring in from around the globe. Irukandji-like symptoms in Japan, and even as far north as the icy waters of Great Britain. The number of reported cases is growing. It seems these jellyfish can exist almost everywhere. Around the globe, throngs of jellyfish are on the march. Could it be these primitive creatures are destined to completely reclaim the seas? The open ocean, 200 miles west of California.